This is Noise from the Cranium. My name is Doug. I'm here with Howie Vickers, the lead singer of The Collectors. The Collectors were one of the hippest bands to emerge from the 1960s Vancouver music scene, basking in the inspired sound waves emanating from San Francisco and LA in the mid to late 1960s. But for Howie Vickers, the story doesn't start there. In the first of a two-part interview, Howie takes us through not only the Collectors' rise to success on the West Coast music scene, but his road to that success in bands such as the Four Quarters, the Viscounts, and the Classics. One early highlight that stands out for Vickers occurred while singing in the vocal quartet The Four Quarters. On November 22, 1958, they opened for Ritchie Valens. While a cool gig at the time, the historic significance would be underlined when Valens was killed in a plane crash mere months later. When Howie was 18 or 19, he won the talent contest at the Pacific National Exhibition. The MC was local DJ Red Robinson.
I don't know what possessed me. It was the first year they were doing the talent show out at the PNE. How I got the guts to do it, I put together my buddies from school, high school, right? I put together a 10-piece band and I did Up a Lazy River, Darren style, and Johnny Mathis's Very Much in Love. So I won $100. I gave each of the guys $10.
Wow.
So it's gone.
Howie laughs as he mentions that many years later he met up with Red Robinson, who remembered the gig. Howie said to Red,
And I said, I've hoped and prayed all these years that there's no tape of that.
Vickers soon joined the Viscounts, where he played gigs around the Vancouver area during 1962 and 63. Coincidentally, future Collectors bassist Glenn Miller had played with the Viscounts, but not while Howie was there. Later in 1963, Howie joined the Classics. Formed in 1961, by the time Howie joined, the band consisted of Gary Taylor on drums, Tom Baird on keyboards, guitarist Brian Russell, multi-instrumentalist Claire Lawrence, and bassist Glenn Miller. And with that, the seeds that would become the Collectors were sown. They got gigs promoting radio station C-Fun as the C-Fun Classics and toured BC as the Canadian Beatles, replicating the moment with wigs and screaming girls. Howie recalls the Classics with fondness.
Yeah, that's the Classics. Tom Baird was our keyboard player, genius. He went on to produce records with Motown. Co-wrote Does Your Mama Know About Me with Tommy Chong, which that was probably what got him in the door.
Tommy Chong, later of Cheech and Chong fame, was a staple of the Vancouver music scene at the time, and the song was a fairly big hit for Chong's band Bobby Taylor and the Vancouvers. As a cover band, the Classics mostly played the hits of the day, which was fine with Howie.
I did Ray Charles stuff. I never got to pick the songs by and large.
Right.
It was okay, this is what we need, and I was versatile enough, I could do it.
Let's bring on the C-Fun Classics with Howie Vickers and Do You Love Me?
You broke my heart, 'cause I couldn't dance. You didn't even want me around, but now I'm back. You know, I can really shake 'em down. Do you love me? I can really move. Do you love me? I'm in the groove. Do you love me? Do you love me now that I can dance? Watch me now. Hey, oh, work it out, baby. You know you're driving me crazy. I wish a little bit of slow now.
The Classics became television celebrities when the teen-music-oriented Let's Go debuted on July 17, 1964. Producer Ein Suter auditioned about 30 Vancouver rock bands, but chose the Classics. Vickers recalls the audition.
Tommy Chong's group auditioned, and just about every rock group in town auditioned for it. But most of the guys in the band could read, which was, that was huge because you got right arrangement. You got a variety of singers coming on every week, at least probably 2, 3, whatever. So you had to be able to get it together real quick. Yeah. So that was our advantage, I think, over some of the other groups.
Howie details what he did on the show.
Well, as part of the band, I might be playing some trombone, valve trombone, singing some background vocals. So my role was kind of multi. I usually did at least probably a song as a solo, per show as well. So you'd pre-record the band tracks,
Yes.
and some background vocals a lot of times, whatever, and then you'd do a live vocal to that. It was pretty standard practice.
In 1964 and 65, in addition to appearing on Let's Go, the Classics released a number of singles, including It Didn't Take Much.
Easiest thing I ever did was fall in love with you. You're the loveliest girl I ever met, but you just couldn't be true. It didn't take much to fall in love with you. It didn't take much. It wasn't easy to do. It didn't take much. Oh, it didn't take much, but it'll take a lot to forget you.
The increased exposure boosted the band's profile and got them gigs all over the province. I wondered how Vickers made the transition from singer in a nightclub band to singing on a television show.
For me personally, I the key was, a lot of that kind of, you don't think about it too much, right?
Right.
And I just it's about making the music right. Like, ignore the camera. This is me.
Right.
Ignore the camera.
Yep.
Don't look into the camera. Let the camera find you.
Right.
Right. And if you look at the really good ones, that's Sinatra. The only show that ever played to the camera was the Lawrence Welk show. They're always, well, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so the point is, you do it from here and here, put it out there.
They released another single later in 1965, this time as the Canadian Classics. Gone Away, written by Claire Lawrence and Howie Vickers, was the first time the band would appear on Valiant Records in the States.
Once I thought I had a love, and I thought she loved me too, and so I bought her pretty things, but all I bought was something blue, 'cause she let me go, and I'll never know just what made her change her mind. Now she's gone away, now she's gone away, oh, she's gone for good, yes, it's understood, and I know that I will never find such a pretty girl.
I wondered what the reason for the name change was. Howie's tongue-in-cheek reply was priceless.
Oh, that would have been their thing, because Canadian groups were so big. No, I'm kidding.
I think there was another band in the States called the Classics, so maybe that's why they did it.
That's probably more likely
Yeah.
what it was. Exactly, right.
Meanwhile, on the set of Let's Go, there were changes afoot. After 2 years as house band on the show, the Classics were replaced by a band called Probably Us. Vickers and Claire Lawrence were the holdovers from the Classics, with Bob Buckley, Terry Frewer, and Doug Edwards coming on board. The Let's Go producers then decided they needed to increase the hip factor and brought in the younger, longer-haired Ross Turney on drums. At the end of 1965, Turney was asked to put a house band together for a local strip club called the Torch Cabaret.
Ross Turney, yeah, he had the house gig there, as it were, and the Classics, we had finished doing what we were doing, and so Claire Lawrence, Glenn Miller, the bass player, and I, who had been in the Classics, joined Ross, and we brought in a couple of guitar players that came and went.
Is that like Terry Frewer?
Terry Frewer was one, and he had some other commitments, other stuff he was looking to do. So we got Bill in, and then that was the group then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. So you kind of cut your teeth as a band at the Torch and...
Well, as the Torch band, as it were.
With Bill Henderson completing the lineup, the band recorded a couple of demos in 1966, Eyes and Don't Feel Bad. Neither song was released at the time, but they eventually came out on the History of Vancouver Rock and Roll Volume 4, issued by Neptune Records.
Some are blue, some are brown, some look up and some look down, some look out, some look in, some have out, and some eyes look in the eye. They'll tell you more than you want to know. Eyes, eyes, look in the eyes. Eyes are the windows to the soul.
are lonely, some are sad, some are happy, some are happy. Eyes, look in the eyes. They'll tell you more than you want to know. Eyes, look in the eyes. Eyes are the windows to the soul.
Initially, the band didn't seem to be too bothered about naming themselves, alternately being billed as the Torchlights, the Torchlighters, the Torch Band, and the Torchmen. While the Torch group was morphing into the Collectors, the Let's Go TV show was not quite done with Howie.
That was a strange one because that was Ken getting me back, Ken Gibson, getting me back to do that.
Vickers hosted a 2-part Motown special, sang a couple of songs with Probably Us,
Everything's alright. Uptight, out of sight. Woo! Baby, everything's alright. Uptight, out of sight. A poor man's son from across the railroad track. Only should I hold is hanging on my back. But I'm the envy of every single guy, since I'm the apple of my babe's eye.
and interviewed Stevie Wonder, a daunting task that he pulled off with aplomb.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's with great pleasure we welcome to our show Mr. Stevie Wonder. Good to see you again,
Fantastic.
Steve.
How you doing? Great.
I keep forgetting you're 16. Do you still go to school?
16.
17?
Let me
18?
gain another year.
Oh,
I'm
right.
17
Okay,
now.
okay.
Right.
Do you still go to school then, Steve? Do you have any, being on the road, do you have any system of tutoring or anything like that?
Well, you see, I attend the Michigan School for the Blind in Lansing, and when I am on the road, I have a tutor near the drag. No. That travels with me so that I can still continue my lessons and also continue on the road.
Playing as the house band at the rough and tumble strip joint The Torch Cabaret, the band honed their chops playing a mix of R&B, Beatles, Stones, and Hit Parade material. As the band gelled, they began composing their own material.
And we were starting to write original stuff. The first song Bill and I wrote actually was Looking at a Baby, which ended up doing quite well.
Jack Hirshhorn, a talent scout for Valiant Records, saw the band at the Torch and got Valiant co-owner Barry DeVorzon to finance some demos recorded at Robin Spurgeon's studio in Vancouver.
That got us onto Valiant Records, which actually was our second time around for some of us, because we've been on Valiant Records a couple of years before that as the Classics. So Glenn, Claire and I, as part of the Classics, had been on Valiant and had a couple of singles from that.
The band demoed a number of songs that were never released, including a song called Uncle Wiggly, which Howie would later resurrect when he was planning a solo album in 1970. So Rob and I were looking at a 45, Uncle Wiggly.
Oh.
And just looking at the writing credits, we thought, was that like a holdover from the Collector days or something?
Yeah, I wrote that when I was in the Collectors.
Okay.
We did a demo of that because I had written it back then.
Yeah.
And when I was doing my solo stuff at Studio 3, I pulled that out. Oh yeah, let's do that. That's a kid's story series when I was a kid.
Okay.
So there was a real actual, and he actually did. So the lyrics is carries a bliss and a magic crutch. He's a gentleman with a gentle touch. There's really no one quite as much as Uncle Wiggly.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
He's got more sun than a sunny day. Open your eyes and he'll come your way. And when he comes, you'll hear the people say, "Hey, that's Uncle Wiggly." He knows everything that I know. He goes where I want him to go. Is it a double entendre? Yeah, I guess so.
There it is, yeah.
Everyone loves him. They're all his friend. Everyone says he's a loving end. And I appreciate telling you again about Uncle Wiggly. One rabbit of a guy.
So did you guys actually record it as the Collectors before, like as demo?
We did it as a demo.
Okay.
Here's a snippet of the original demo by the Collectors, taken from a CBC TV special that Rob Frith and I unearthed in his archives.
Carries a police and a magic crutch. He's a gentleman with a gentle touch. And there's really no one quite as much as Uncle Wiggly. One rabbit of a guy.
Other rare cuts on that show were Feathers and Wax.
Everyone's rushing around back and forth, trying to get over the wall. But no one's touching the ground and so forth. Don't they
know that they're all trying to do what's virtually impossible, trying to fly too high, boy, too high. Everybody's trying to fly too high. I once knew a guy tried to fly back and forth on wings made of feathers and wax.
Curse of the Universe.
Knowing doesn't change things, baby. If you know or if you don't, it's still the same. If a rose grows and I don't see it, it still needs rain. And a rose is still a rose by any other name. It's the curse of the universe to know it's just a game.
Ring the Wrong Bells.
Ring the wrong bells, all are made to ring. Let random voices sing. Ring the wrong bells, all bells are ring bells. Sing the wrong song, strange though they may ring.
An Adenac.
Everybody looks the same in Adenac. No one's even got a name in Adenac. Sometimes I seem to lose track of the facts, and there's a lack of something in Adenac,
Signing with Valiant. Howie and the band then traveled down to LA to record their first single, Looking at a Baby.
Barry DeBorzon co-produced it with Don Adrisi.
Right.
Don Adrisi, him and his brother Dick wrote Never My Love, actually. That was a huge hit for the Association. That all happened around the same time as we were doing our first album. That success for Don and Dick. And Don was a real neat guy.
Yeah.
And anyway, so he co-produced the first two things.
Much like when they were gigging at the Torch, they were once again unable to decide on a name. Ready to put the single out, DeVorzon pressed them for a name, giving them a choice between the Collectors and the Connection. After deliberating for half an hour amongst the band, the Collectors were christened. Looking at a Baby was released in March 1967. It did very well, holding the #1 spot in Canada for 3 weeks running, and it got a pick rating in Billboard and Cashbox.
Look at her, baby. What do you see? What do you see? Looking at her, baby. I can see the world the way that I would like the world to be. Innocent and pure and clean, just like a newborn baby.
This chart success, particularly on the west coast of the States, brought Hirshhorn and the Collectors to San Francisco and LA for extended periods of time, playing as many shows as they could. In 1967, behind the scenes, Valiant Records was acquired by Warner Brothers.
Yeah, that's how we ended up on Warner's. And they had the publishing Tamerlane Music. That was one of the attractions for Warner's as well, I think. Plus, they ended up getting the Association. Although, in fairness, I mean, the big Association hits hadn't happened yet.
Right.
But they got us, and the Association came over to Warner's through that purchase.
But they didn't actually take everybody that was on Valiant. But they took you, and they took us to other bands, so they obviously liked you.
I guess, yeah. They, sales numbers wise, they did real well with the Association. Not so much with us, but we were glad to be having the opportunity to do our thing, as it were.
Their next single, Fisherwoman, was released in August 1967 and was their first release on Warner Brothers. In the fall and winter of that year, the band continued touring around San Francisco and LA, playing a series of memorable gigs at the Fillmore with the Buffalo Springfield in late December. I asked Howie if he had any interaction with Bill Graham.
Yeah, well, he was the guy.
Yeah.
And I do remember the first time we played there, he came out and introduced us and said, "Here's the future of rock and roll." Wow. Which was totally wrong,
But I've heard stories
was
that he
always-
really liked you guys.
Oh, he did?
Definitely heard that.
Oh no, he did. He did.
Not from you either, from other people.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, no. I know.
Although Graham's prediction wasn't quite on the mark, what he saw in the Collectors was a band of leaders, not followers. Rather than reacting to the music they were hearing in San Francisco and LA, they were part of the select group of musicians actually creating this new music, and that in itself was exciting. Early 1968 saw the Collectors heading back to the States, living in Pomona and working with producer Dave Hassinger. The band were kept very busy over the next 4 months, both with studio work and playing clubs like the Whiskey A Go-Go, the Electric Circus, the Fillmore, the Avalon, the Cheetah, and the Kaleidoscope. After releasing a couple of singles for their new label, the band were back in the studio with Hassinger, who was tasked with producing their first album.
Yeah, Dave was a staff producer with Warner's. Actually, his biggest claim to fame, I guess. Well, he was a wonderful engineer. And actually, he's the engineer on Satisfaction for the Stones. And White Rabbit, he was the engineer. Comes over and he's a staff producer and had success with the Electric Prunes. Silly name. But anyway, so that had happened before he started producing us. And that's all recorded in American Sound, which was in Studio City. A guy that had I found this out after the fact. Richie Podler was his name. His parents, and I guess him, they owned the studio. Richie had some instrumental hits called Stranger from Durango and a number of other things like that.
I've heard that name.
Yeah, that was before. So he was this instrumental rock and roll star, which we didn't know, but a really nice guy. And he engineered some of our sessions as well.
Really?
And I just remember it had been a butcher shop, and the echo chamber, the door was from the control room, and had been the old freezer.
I wondered how difficult it was to switch gears and move from the soul and R&B music that Howie had been singing in the classics to the psychedelically tinged music of the Collectors.
Well, it was what we ended up, creating basically as a group, and it happened to coincide with. It wasn't any. It wasn't that conscious in terms of if the psychedelic stuff's happening, we'll do that. We didn't, we were just. Bill had never. He didn't really have that same background that we did, so, which worked like a damn because he was bringing something totally fresh to the whole thing. It can be labeled psychedelic or whatever, and that's what was kind of going on at the time. I mean, a lot of the bands playing the Fillmore and that were basically blues bands, doing, which was fine, but that isn't what we were.
It just becomes a melting pot of your influences. And
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
We were just writing this stuff, and that's what came out.
To top it off, Claire Lawrence's background was the secret sauce.
And that was the catalyst for. Claire was coming from jazz end of things. Yeah. His solo on the suite that's on the second side of the flip side of the first album they used that for 30 plus years at the biggest FM station in Holland as their theme. So I mean, it's gorgeous.
Yes. While working on their debut album, they got an extraordinary opportunity to play on an Electric Prunes album.
Dave was producing this thing that a jazz composer, arranger called David Axelrod was doing, had come, I guess, to David, I don't know, with this project, Mass in F minor, and Bill played lead guitar on that, and Bill and I sang on it.
Right.
So, in the shadows, we weren't credited or anything.
No.
But yeah, it was actually used in the funeral scene, in the cemetery scene in Easy Rider, Kyrie eleison, I think, is the song that they used.
And it's quite like listening to that when I first had the record and I didn't know Your Connection. You know, okay, that's a great record. And then knowing Your Connection, I go, well, I can hear that vocal there. That's new. Oh, man. How did I not see that?
Well, Bill and I both had, we could read enough to be able to, because it was an arranged. David Axelrod had arranged the parts and stuff. And then Bill put his kind of screaming, if you will, lead guitar stuff that he did so well, added that to it as well. And I think maybe because we could pronounce the Latin, I think it was we got the cake.
Yes. Yeah.
Actually, in fairness to that, the lead singer, I think, was singing with us as well, as I recall, but it was basically Bill and I doubling up and making it sound like a group.
Yeah. And I mean, they probably weren't thrilled, but from what I read, they just wanted to get this album done, and these guys weren't working fast enough. And you guys seemed like pros, and you were able to just knock the stuff off.
I think that's what happened. Yeah. I mean, we just did it. It wasn't a hard thing. So
yeah, it was
we were studio guys.
Yeah.
Having completed the recording for Hassinger and Axelrod's Prunes project, the focus shifted back to the Collectors. Their debut album was released in late spring 1968, and the song Lydia Purple was released as the first single.
Lydia Purple lived in a steeple, tall by nature, colored by people. Lydia Purple was taken for granted by people that knew her, whose views were all slanted. Writing sonnets daily, drinking apple tea, Lydia pretending she is free.
A beautiful slice of Baroque pop, Lydia Purple was a hit in Canada and regionally in the United States. It was the only song on the album not written by the band. I asked Howie if he could break down some of the songwriting credits on the album.
One act plays my tune.
Okay.
Lyrics and Claire and Bill were certainly part of the arrangement and made it happen that way. I wrote Howard Chrisman's Older was lyrics, but I'd be involved. We were Bill, Claire, and I particularly, put the stuff together as to whose notes were whose. So it happened collectively, basically. Yeah. My role was primarily lyrics, though.
Right.
At that time, yeah.
In keeping with the move towards a more experimental rock sound, and clearly the showcase of the album, the What Love Suite took up the entire second side of the record and created a real buzz around the band. It was played in its entirety every 3 or 4 hours on the underground FM radio stations, and was timed perfectly to suit the changing musical landscape.
Having the suite on the second side, the flip side, totally coincided with the start of FM radio in LA and Frisco.
Right.
They were playing the flip side, like a single, like it was on heavy rotation. So to answer your question, that was a big part of whatever recognition, whatever awareness that we got was from that. That again, the timing. Timing is everything. You usually can't control it at all, but it's a big part of it. In that case, FM coming along when it did was a huge part of it.
What love? What love?
Love would often be the closing number at their shows, as that song was a tough one to follow. In part 2 of the interview, Howie looks back on some of the concerts they did during 1968 and 69, talks about their second album, Grass and Wild Strawberries, and the circumstances surrounding his departure from the band. My thanks to Rob Frith from Neptune Records for facilitating the interview, and to Howie Vickers for sharing his great stories. This has been Noise from the Cranium. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.